Yes, I love my group that I've got this year. My group of linemen is experienced. They are weight room guys. They have put in the time in the weight room. Honestly, it's a group that if I were to leave during practice and said, hey, will you work on this, they would probably be fine on their own, but it's a fun group. I'm looking forward to them.
It is likely an inherited trait from his dad, but Brian Lafferty's level of job contentment is directly proportionate to the number of quality offensive linemen with which he is afforded to work. Tellingly, then, this has been a very happy August so far.
I mean, really what it comes down to is the fact that you've got guys like Maddox Crozier and Bronson Bartlett, those two seniors that kind of anchor that line as far as the leadership goes. And then along with that, you've got guys who have played. And I'll even throw out Travis Gray as a right tackle as somebody that the area needs to know about as one of the best football players in the area. Voldy coming back at center, a big, strong kid that's bought into the weight room. And the guy that people probably don't know about is Ephraim Vua, who will be our left tackle, who actually got to play a ton last year. He was our sixth lineman, and he's a big, strong, athletic kid that I think, as far as experience goes, not too bad for a non-starter.
Having the infrastructure of his offense so well intact with all those veteran blockers and a returning quarterback in Tyler Bickerman.
It's been a lot easier. Last year it was more of just trying to not turn the ball over and not disappoint those guys, but this year I feel like I have more opportunities to make some plays for this team. In a fact where I can make a difference on that side of the ball. Last year was just trying to conserve the ball, so we had a chance to give it to our playmakers.
Makes the task of replacing the most prominent pieces of last year's talented backfield less daunting.
Sure, if you look at our backfield, we have kind of a philosophy as let's play as many as you can, and if you followed us last year, we did have Tanner and we had James, but Christian Danner played a ton. He's our returning leading rusher. I think he had about 400 last year. Afton played about every few plays with James Corey, and so he'll be our fullback. And then if you look at some of these other guys, we've got Jacob Etter is a guy that's super talented that we haven't quite seen what he can do yet. Same thing with Adam Sipes, super talented, haven't maybe seen his ceiling. And I'll even throw a couple of younger guys in there. You've got Tanner Gray, who is kind of a spark plug fullback as well. And then Jordan McGinnis is a sophomore that I think the area is going to know about here in the next couple of years. So we kind of have a stable, and we're going to try to keep them fresh and play a bunch of them and keep them fast.
It doesn't really change much from last year because Afton has the same caliber players we had with James Corey. Almost a little more explosive, but similar players. Christian, just as fast, he's a little slower than Tanner Spencer, but still. So nothing really changes, really.
That same dynamic, as well as many of the same names, are in play for a defensive overhaul as well. Step into that role, who is the guy that kind of becomes that Tanner Spencer type lightning rod dude?
For sure. You got Tanner and James and Chance Gerleman and Patrick and those guys last year, and they were terrific, and they set a great tone for us. But I think as a program, you're teaching kids throughout the different levels how to play our defense. I don't know if we have one guy who will really specifically be the star, but if you look at who can fill in, I mean, shoot, you've got guys like Wyatt Fowler, who was one of our good football players last year that maybe isn't a name guy that steps in at corner there. So I think it's really just a collective. Who's going to step up and play a role for this team? But I really like what we do. Coach Bickerman does a great job with the defense, and so we'll let it roll.
The Rockets won't have to wait long for a litmus test on how good their good can be, with a trip to highly regarded Macomb looming in week number 1.
It's a big statement. Now, I really like playing them first week because it kind of sets off our schedule as in how we're going to do, because they're a tough team to play, but I believe that we'll be able to take them and play hard and do our job, and we'll get things done.
Sure. I would say the whole Prairie Land, honestly. I know the Prairie Land does not get the publicity maybe of some other conferences, but if you look at, you've got Macomb, Elmwood, Brimfield, Farmington, Illini West, I think we're a pretty strong conference, honestly. And so to start with Macomb just adds to that list of teams that we have to be prepared for, a lot of good coaches, and you know, we'll do our best.